Hi, it's Bill Bones, and today I'll explain the story of the suffering ties that bind. Enjoy! Previously, Torque was saved by a coast guard. On the boat, T is slowly falling asleep and sees flashbacks of his first sentence in Eastern Baltimore Correctional Facility 5 years ago. In the memories, he is playing chess with his homie, Miles, who is telling about Blackmore, a local criminal. Miles is sure Blackmore is the reason why Torque ended up in the prison. Torque says no word about the theory as he is mute.
Looks like trouble.
He can speak now! Probably the miracle makes everybody leave the place, even a CEO. A gang enters the yard with a Freddy Krueger-like man leading it. This man is the Blackmore himself. Some of Blackmore's guys are holding pipes and knives. The surrounding tells that they are not going to fix a water leakage and help to cut cakes. Inmates encircle Torque and Miles. They explain that now Blackmore owns Eastern, with these two chess players particularly. However, Miles disagrees and even protects Torque. Blackmore dislikes that and threatens to hurt Miles and Torque's family and sons, also preventing them from playing chess. The last threat drives Torque mad. And Miles is being beaten the next second. Torque tries to protect his friend, but Blackmore knocks T down. Freddy Krueger gives a command to finish the chess players. It's all about an unfinished game of chess now. Neither the guys nor the game can be finished because of a riot in the prison. A CO shows up in the tower reloading a shotgun. Hostile inmates lose all motivation and disappear. Everybody is screaming, running around. Torque is so badass that even prisons deny him. Miles and Torque run through the prison to obtain a weapon and escape. In one of the blocks they get separated, and Torque starts losing his mind, being lonely. Moreover, seeing dogs and a tall man. He also hears a ringing phone with Blackmore threatening Torque's family again. Torque doesn't give a crap and enters a room with Blackmore's people who tied up a CO. They offer to kill the guard to join their gang. But I decided to sentence to death people who really deserve it. I shoot the guy in the head, but he survives. It's clear he doesn't have the most important organ of the body, so I shoot his dick off and he goes to hell. I send two other inmates after the first one. The light goes off and the slayers appear from the darkness. One of them finishes the guard and disappears. 3 inmates, 3 slayers. It makes food for thoughts. I ran in circles trying to find a door, and when I found it, it was smashed by another creature, which ran away. Out of the room, Torque hears a woman. When he gets closer, a vision appears. This time it's a fat, tall, hideous, ugly, disgusting filth.
One eternity later.
Loathsome, sickening murderer in the mask. Torque steps closer, and the next second the woman is getting killed by the guts of the fat man. T goes ahead and comes to another room, where he is closed with slayers and prisoners who are attacking him by the commands of Blackmore. When there are no bullets left, Torque becomes the creature and rips prisoners apart. At the end of the elegant dance, Blackmore enters the dance pool and sends Torque to sleep. The next second, T finds himself at the boat again, in the present days. Do you understand that? All of this happened because of Torque, who said the first phrase in his life. That's why he's always silent. I'm sure Torque's voice actor got the easiest money in his life. They are landing in Baltimore docks, but instead of DOC people, they are welcomed by heavily armored soldiers. It's a good sign, right? Right? Torque, remembering his past like sharp needle jabs, has a seizure and falls unconscious. Soldiers step closer, saying about delivering Torque to Jordan, as Torque is a prime target. They put him in a Hannibal Lecter device, escorting him to the destination point. We hear that those people are mercenaries and were hired for this mission. They call themselves the Foundation, which is an independent, paramilitary and scientific organization, known mostly to be dedicated to the fighting against and study of paranormal creatures. They are aware of the malefactors from the Carnate island, according to Jordan, who enters the room. She is a blonde woman in completely suitable clothes for war. She is being polite with Tim, but you know these good cop, bad cop mind games. She confesses that in fact Torque needs further research as her life goal to collect all types of Pokemon and study them. And Torque is something of Mewtwo, an extra legendary badass half-mute trophy. Something called the good luck happens with the building, causing an earthquake. Jordan sends soldiers away to cover her escape and leaves 2 soldiers to guard Torque. She isn't just a usual villain, quite opposite, she is special to Torque, but we will see it later. Something happens, the screen goes black and the next moment Torque sees the same soldiers but cooked with ketchup all over the place.
Fucking delicious.
Alarm goes off and Torque is freed to go. He gets his first legendary item, shoulder holster and a radio. Behind the closed doors, we can see future weaponry that can be used later in the game. As it's only a beginning and Torque cannot ruin the logic of the game and become too overpowered, he gets a pipe. Everybody seems to forget about him and just try to escape as fast as they can, leaving the building empty. They give a chance to study the place and find already researched monsters. Torque breaks free, and from the radio it gets clear that the monsters managed to escape as well as Torque. Torque keeps seeing his dead ex-wife. What's your name? Karen, Darren, damn it, Carmen. She says that Torque has to go to his apartment and find there something important. I hope it will be a cake. He gets down the sewers where the creature attacks, knocking him out, and he wakes up in his apartment. It's placed near an elevated railway, in a skid row generally speaking. It is no surprise that he went nuts. As usual, he has visions of his two sons and getting spam callers. Carmen asks him to open his wardrobe and read letters from Carmen and Miles. I have enclosed...
One eternity.
Okay, my jokes will finish soon, the plot is getting intense. From letters, we quite easily read that Blackmore framed Torque in Miles's bar, resulting in Torque was sent to prison. However, Carmen doesn't believe it and asks her ex-husband to look deeper and see the truth. Reading that causes the vision of Carmen again. She is blaming T for doing nothing with Blackmore after his death threats. She keeps saying that, and the next second she is sleeping exhausted after putting up new red polka dot wallpapers. After this vision he hears another one, this time with Dr. Killjoy, a personal ghost psychiatrist of Torque from Carnate Island. He wants to show Torque the truth, from which we see that Blackmore gave an order to his goons to kill Torque's family, leaving him alone forever. The world starts to collapse. Arsonists are crawling from the depths of hell. These creatures represent being burned alive, highly hot-spirited and deadly creatures. I helped to relieve anybody of the burden of being alive, oppressed and resurrected. The streets are a dirty spot and Torque is a bleach. In my head it sounded better. He sees Killjoy, who invites to visit a local theater to find a cure against a local disease called Blackmore. Blackmore is a disease and a local theater is a... I will think about it later. I meet Torque's old friend, Hajira, who helps to overpass the way to the theater. He tells story of Gorgers, the Pokemon who represent starvation and even cannibalism. They were created from fairy tales of people from the Great Depression, when there was no food left and parents explained it to their children the way that Gorgers came and ate everything. The spooky fairy tale was filled up with a story of a reverend who cooked soup out of human meat to stop starvation. Torque helps Hajira reach his final destination and goes further to the theater. On his way he meets Jordan with her mercenaries, who are still trying to catch monsters for experiments. Torque says hi, but she doesn't hear it because T is mute. T goes for the groceries and behind the shop glass he sees two black cashiers. Their race is important because it arouses another living nightmare, Copperfield, the slave hunter. Little information is known about him. Most importantly, in past he used to catch relatives of Torque and Carmen and brought them back to their owners. Probably he represents racism. I try to save another cashier by shooting at the hunter and it works. However, the saved one isn't happy about it. He even blames Torque for bringing that guy in here. Torque is getting closer to the theater. He looks at the billboard of the film The Beast in Me, with Torque in the lead role, Blackmore and Killjoy in the secondary roles. Cannot wait to see it. Dr. Killjoy is happy to see and brainwash T again. He tries to instigate T to show his anger, the beast inside.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Before he finishes, Blackmore destroys the cinematograph. He continues lines of Killjoy and summons monsters all over the place. T fights until he is able to release the inner creature and show who is a real daddy here. And the art house movie is finished. My review is next. The acting is good, the plot is meh, the leading actor didn't even say a word, and it's also very short. My opinion is not worth the money, 5 sufferings out of 10. Since now there are new enemies in the game, metal malefactors that can be destroyed only by the creature. Killjoy wants to play a role again and invites T to visit the castle of self-medication. Later, Torque finds a boy Kyle who asks for help to be escorted to his safe place. I agree, as saving people makes the creature stronger, and I won't blame myself for killing an innocent NPC the rest of my life. On their way they face cops and new types of creatures. One of the biggest ones, Triggerman, fat spiders with limbs made of guns. Hellish Abomination is an embodiment of homicides committed by gunshots. Still, the worst abomination here is Torque, so we have a winner. In the nearest park, T meets his ex-wife again. She remembers the past when everything was going the wrong way. In this place he used to meet with Carmen. That's the place where he met Blackmore too. Blackmore wanted to hire Torque for a highly paid dirty work. Sort of dirty promotion. The only thing he needed to do is to break up with Carmen, as she is an obstacle. T was torn between his wife and his boss, but in the end he chose the family and lost it. We continue to escort our drug addict boy to find his main line of life. They stepped inside the castle of self-medication, aka the Hope Joint, where Killjoy decided to have another sick game. He wants to explore the childhood of Torque. It's probably so boring that Torque starts to fall asleep, and every blink kills one junkie in the place, except for our boy. Dr. Killjoy is sure he will be able to cure T forever. They only need to find Blackmore. The person who might know where he is Miles. The next point on the map is a bar underground, which belongs to our friend. The path lies through another shithole, the place where Kyle and the ex-woman of CJ from San Andreas are living. Kyle runs to his apartment only to do one thing, to get a fix, to be high again. He even doesn't pay attention to his friend Freddy, who just a minute ago showed his inner world. All this time a baby is crying out loud behind the closed doors. From the boiling blood appears our old friend Hajira. Oh wait, it's a mainliner. Anyway, it's our old friend who loves hugs from the Carnate island. As you see, they represent drug addicts. Frankly speaking, this place creeps me out. It's dread to think such places really exist. In there, they even don't need any monster, because even without them, it's already hell. When the room is opened and the ex-girlfriend of CJ comes in the room, the baby covered by a cloth transforms into bloodstains. No jokes about ketchup now, it's getting spicy. T goes to the street and sees a whacked out mercenary who survived the bloodshed. I think to survive this hell, you need to be approximately on the same level of sanity as Torque. Leftovers of the organization are driving away from chasms that summon marksmen. Creatures continue the work of troops sent to Baltimore in the 1860s to stop civilian uprisings. As they saved everybody, the beast inside was able to create guns and become a biological turret without spending bullets. How many people should I save to make Torque speak again? Torque sees the bar underground and enters there.
You picked the wrong house, fool!
Old memories are coming back down here, thanks to Carmen. Back then, when T came to visit Miles, Blackmore hired a bully boy to provoke T for a fight. The fighting went wrong, and one blackout or blink later, the troublemaker was prepared for worms in the ground. The same second, policemen entered the bar to arrest T and Miles, with Blackmore observing. And you know the rest. T wakes up on the cold floor and goes to the back entrance, where he finds Garvey Children's Home report. It says about a boy who came to them at a very young age. He was bullied in that place. His instinctive reaction was violence. However, the reason of such behavior was caused by his traumatizing past. During the stay in Garvey home, the boy kept talking about a tall man visiting him, but there were no records of any visitors. As you understand, the boy's name was Albert Einstein. Why not? Nobody knows the real name of Torque. People just call him like that. He goes outside and sees Miles on the balcony. The homie is still alive and well. Torque follows his friend and sees dogs with human faces and knives on them. The creatures are called maulers, and first of all, they are a sign of the hunter who is nearby. They are reincarnated dogs of Copperfield who were deprived of food in order to hunt slaves better and then consume them. These ugly things are extremely fast and irritating. The hunter is looking down at Torque, who is searching for the right way for approximately 22 minutes and 37 seconds, until he finally finds out that the barrels are explosive for a reason, to make the way. The hunter didn't do any harm physically, but mentally.
How does it feel to be the prey?
Copperfield has a chance to flex with his mad aiming and shooting skills. Yeah, you are scary, I see that. From this place, Torque goes down to the sewers again, where he meets another hideous bastard. The Creeper. He used to be an infamous killer pimp who killed from 50 to 200 women. Throughout the game we can hear his whispers from the drained channels, where he is living now. He tells about his achievements connected with killing prostitutes and hatred against all women. He wears a mask and a coat, inside which there are 3 tentacle women's bodies with sharp knives that are a part of the Creeper's body. His favorite phrase is "blood is the best lubricant." I take my words back about the Hunter. This guy is scary for real. Miles is still alive and speaks with Torque through the radio. He leads the way through the sewers while preaching about Blackmore. The Creeper keeps creeping me out with his visions, yet he is just a spirit. I keep telling it myself. Torque finds the warehouse of the Foundation where everything had started. Near the entrance he hears the voice of Blackmore and feigns to teleport and wake up inside the hangar. The voice of a woman is heard from somewhere.
Hello, you there! Help me!
Unfortunately, I forgot how to release her, but when I played this game back in my childhood, this woman was Consuela Alvarez, the wife of Ernesto Alvarez, CO from the first game, who tried to save his wife, thinking she is somewhere on the island. In fact, she was captured by the Foundation, as she knew a lot. If I had saved this woman, she would have gone to Carnate Island to find her husband, and the Creeper would be very upset about Torque's actions as he dared to save a woman. But I didn't do it in this walkthrough, so she died and I lost a bit of good morality. God bless her digital soul, I'm gonna cry tonight. In another section of the warehouse, T meets Blackmore, who gives orders to the Foundation. They are ready to release specimens to finish the game. But I was prepared. I got a grenade launcher to settle all issues down. Torque escapes the warehouse and goes to the port, where he is met by an army of mercenaries and a helicopter. When the waste of time and bullets is finished, Jordan drives her truck to the fence, breaking it and saving Torque. Yes, I also had questions about why it happens, but it will be explained soon. The soon is now. Blackmore somehow took charge of her man, making her an enemy. While Torque is shooting off the bad and worst creatures, Jordan is speaking about Blackmore, who is controlling everything from Eastern Baltimore Correctional. That's where she is taking Torque to. I hope to finish the game of
Watch out! It's gonna flip!
Her men interrupt my joke and shoot a rocket in the truck. Torque makes a flip. Wow, everything is fine. I step forward and choose the wrong way, ending up under the gunpoint of a local. She is asking Torque to leave, but the Creeper kills her from behind. Jordan is waiting on another side of this road. She drives further and says it's Eastern. And we see a flying machine gun. All the time she meant Eastern Baltimore Correctional machine gun? Yes! Now tremors from the movie? Cool. This creature is called the Horde and represents mass riots and destructions in Baltimore. The worm, however, isn't enthusiastic to see Torque and flips the car again. Torque gets into the underground services of the prison, from which he goes to the library. There is a librarian who controls disturbances. The name of this creature is Suppressor. The malefactors dressed up in CO uniform are a product of police brutality. They have no legs and drag themselves by their arms. They also have a flashlight and 4 Tommy guns out of their stomach. In other words, beautiful. The library is behind. In front, there is Miles, who is waiting in cell block E. On his way through the prison, Torque meets Warden Elroy Jr. A man in glasses, looks weak, but in fact he is very brave for trying to keep everything under control and not let inmates and COs kill each other, keeping them away from monsters. He asks for help and Torque's muteness implies consent. In one of the cell blocks, Torque gets an incoming call from Blackmore, who shares his thoughts on Torque's behavior, as to why Torque chose Carmen instead of wealth, power and respect. Blackmore loves women, but when they limit his choices, they are gone, one way or another. Elroy Jr. finds other COs. He wants to get the prison under control and even save trapped inmates in cell block D. Officers are shocked to hear that Elroy wants them to do the job right. Unfortunately, he cannot convince guys to cooperate and goes together with Torque to save the lost souls. They go down the sewers and you already know who they will meet there. The Creeper, of course, who does his hobby.
For your turn.
They reach cell block E, where Miles is waiting, but before that, Warden and T face 2 inmates who aren't so happy to see Elroy, but he manages to convince them. He says that they have to stick together, otherwise all of them will become dead meat. Surprisingly, they agreed, as other COs also hate Elroy, so the enemy of their enemy is their friend. And what does Torque think about it? Elroy asks for one last thing. clean the place out of monsters to open the door and let Torque go through. He does it quite well and finally finds Miles. The friends distance him from Torque either behind the bulletproof glass or the balcony. That's why Dr. Killjoy raises questions of who can be trusted. Miles invites Torque into the bulletproof room for a talk. He says straight nonsense about Blackmore, about Torque who never says a word, about a bleeding man he had spoken with back in his bar before he died. The guy said something weird about Torque and he got no reason to lie. Before Miles finishes his lines, Torque loses sanity and switches off. When he opens his eyes, Miles is already dead, bleeding on the floor. The blackouts Dr. Killjoy tried to cure in the first game never went away. Blackmore offers Torque to follow him to find answers. He jumps down the punishment cell. There, T doesn't see Blackmore, but hears the conversation of Warden Elroy Sr., who was okay with keeping inmates alone for 6 and more months in black holes. They couldn't help losing their sanity, whereafter killing themselves. Elroy Sr. didn't care about it and sparked off the riots where he was killed. However, 30 years later, dead inmates turned back in the form of isolationists. Blackmore is showing up from the TV this time. He has his own TV show now and insists on visiting the drowning pool, where all the pretenders lose the game. Carmen knows where the drowning pool is. She says it's beneath the prison factory. Torque needs to go there and face Blackmore one more time. On his way to the drowning pool there, hey editor, make the brightness higher.
Yes, voices in my head. I will do that.
There is an Irish soldier, Riley, who gave up on his mission as he saw no end to creatures. Now he cares only about his life. Riley fights monsters, stays in the fire,
I shouldn't come back in here!
and leads to the elevator where Torque can find the drowning pool. He opens the door and sees Blackmore in agony, who later turns into Torque. Torque is going nuts, losing his mind and having a seizure every 10 minutes. When he finally finds the factory while being covered in tomato sauce, he sees a helicopter controlled by Jordan. She says that her man would never betray her. Okay. While shooting in Torque, Jordan asks good questions. Why do monsters follow Torque everywhere he goes? Why did she agree to have a romantic ride with him? Think, Torque, think. The mandatory mission of every helicopter is completed. It flew away and blew up. Jordan survived though, and even took a machine gun, but she loses quickly and disappears. Torque goes after her and finds a hole with the hunter in it. He jumps down and lands in a shithole. To make it clear, it's a local court system of some sort. We have the jury here, the hunter and the creeper, a judge is Mr. Dr. Killjoy. Killjoy counts all good and bad deeds Torque has made on his way through Baltimore. Every choice is separated by waves of monsters to make it look like a real court. As I try to do my best, the hunter thinks Torque deserves to fight with him. Alas, the creeper thinks Torque is too good for him. The battle is exhausting, leaving no health points, bullets and brain cells. I've had only a melee weapon to destroy molars and some bullets to land in the hunter. After all, their spirit is dying. As he used to keep his dog starving, they tear him apart and consume. Blackmore appears to show one more lesson. He teaches Corey how to play this game and says that nobody should stand in his way. Otherwise, they are obstacles. Corey has one person like that, his younger brother, Malcolm. Blackmore thinks it's about time to teach him a lesson and offers Corey to decide the fate of Malcolm by throwing him in the waste pit. Corey, looking at the father, denies the offer, trying to save his young brother. Yet, Blackmore doesn't like such behavior and throws Corey in the pit. Mr. Antagonist gives Torque a choice of actions. I shoot at Blackmore, he laughs, and Torque feigns again to wake up in another filthy wreck. There is one key person, Truman, who has been in both games but was never shown until now. The person who wrote notes for loading screens about everything that happens around between games. He seems to know many things as he was able to survive Carnate Island and even escape it when the cataclysm had started. Everybody around him is dead and only he is still breathing and well. He is sure that everywhere Torque goes, he sees the same suffering. Rance blames the city for that, as he knows the reason for incarnation of all monsters. The city is soaked with blood and it never ends. The reason to evoke this madness was that, shall I say, G-spot was found. Play button. Torque. I leave him alone near the Hell Chasm. As he says, monsters don't attack him. It's like they know that he is special. Maybe he's one of them. Now the city looks like a location from Doom games, because it's infested with all types of creatures. Torque comes to the place where all his miseries had started, Garvey Children's Home. Blackmore shows newspapers of an incident when a man killed his wife and children. Blackmore wants to tell a story about it. Once he hired men to show the family a lesson. Those goons were unprofessional, untrustworthy, at the same time getting off on killing people. But Blackmore never gave an order to kill Carmen, Malcolm and Corey. He wanted to scare them away from Torque. But goons got everything wrong. He continues and shows the truth he has promised. And Torque has been hiding from himself all this time. Blackmore was never really there in person. He was inside Torque all this time. They stole men who visited Torque in the child's home, the person who hired inmates to beat Miles, who hired a blockhead to piss off Torque back at the bar, and who hired a mob to teach his own family a lesson was Torque all this time. Blackmore is an evil alter ego of Torque that was created during his tough childhood, when he needed the protection, power and respect that nobody could bully him anymore. Carmen started to feel something was off when Torque had blackouts and turned into a completely different person. She figured it out later and divorced Torque. According to Jordan, Blackmore had little time to show himself, but he was so damn charismatic and smart that this little time was enough to build his drug empire. He was able to fund the Foundation and hire them as his own army. As Jordan was a scientist, she quickly understood what is what and started to play a role. To help her enemy and boss, or maybe lover at the same time, keeping it secret. Inmates, goons and other thugs otherwise weren't scientists. Let's be honest, even primary students to put two and two together and see an obvious answer. They thought that Blackmore and Torque look alike. Blackmore is tired of sharing one body and challenged Torque in a fight to take over the mind. He summons the hordes of monsters on the roof of the building, where he can be damaged only by the creature. The fight sucks dry all health points, but after all, Torque wins over the body and mind. Crooked Blackmore is weakened and barely stands on the ground. Torque gives him a hand, but Blackmore screams as the creature and for a second becomes the beast which Torque can be transformed into when he has a bad morality. Blackmore falls on his knees and accepts the fate, as he always played the game of all or nothing, despite Torque, who played right and fair. He gives up leaving Torque at peace. Carmen appears to say that nobody can separate them now. Their ties that bind are too strong. From now on, she stays with him forever. That's the ending of a good morality. The natural ending is this.
That's what I thought. Looks like we're going to play this game a while longer. I couldn't change you, and you couldn't get rid of me. The ties that bind, they'll keep us connected, but apart. And I'll be right here, looking over your shoulder.
And the bad ending is this.
Fool. You didn't know one thing about the end game. Should have given up sooner. Admitted you just wanted to be me. Now I'm full-time, baby. I can rule this town.
Need a hand with that, Black?
Oh, yes, girl. You're the only one who could see the real me. All the best games get better with an inside man. Even better with an inside woman.
You know it's always better when you play dirty with girls. He's gone, right?
For good.
Because you're the only part of him I ever liked.
The game of chess is finished, so speaking about all these blackouts, as nobody saw the creature and Torque in one room simultaneously, Yes, it means Torque becomes the beast sometimes, but still nobody saw the creature in its physical form, except Clem from the Carnate Island. But as I said in the first video, I think the creature is one of the ghosts from the island. Torque saw it once and acquired the image of it. But you might ask, how Torque acquired the form of the creature from Carnate Island if it showed itself in Baltimore's prison first? My theory is that Torque just drew or saw this image of the beast in his childhood in strife of protection. He also made up another personality who is tougher, smarter, blacker. Torque saw the creature previously in his life as one of the ghosts or schizophrenic hallucinations, because he had psychic disorder tendencies most of his life, but has never been treated properly. The first proof is that none of the NPCs mentioned his transformations. They just comment on his insanely good skills of killing. The second proof is the note from Garvey's child home, where it was written that in order to protect himself against bullying, Torque became highly aggressive and used physical violence. Maybe about this time he not only created Blackmore in his mind, but also the hideous boogeyman that scares bad children and protects Torque. Dr. Killjoy also called this state of mind blackouts and asked a question to Torque. Why Blackmore is called like that? Because it's something of more black in Torque? Moreover, if Torque has a bad morality, he becomes the beast Blackmore turns into. The worse person Torque becomes, the more black or evil his psyche gets during blackouts. Something like that.
And that's the end of the game. Don't forget to give a like as you stayed for so long, and subscribe to my channel. You can watch this video, or this, I don't know where I place the card. Just watch something.
Blackmore is a disease and a local theater is a cure.